Your host, and today we have an outstanding show because we are dealing with the Divas. The Dynamic Divas are a young ladies organization here in the Hampton Roads area, and we have with us our founder. So, Miss White, please talk to us about the Dynamic Divas.
Good afternoon, 757. What it do?
Yes. Tell us about the Divas.
Wow, what can I tell you about the Divas? The Divas are an extraordinary group of women that are out to empower and enrich the lives of female youth and women in disadvantaged areas, focusing on self-worth, financial literacy, and job readiness.
And how long have you been struggling with this organization?
We have been, I wouldn't say struggling, we've been blessed.
All right.
4 years and going. It's been a tremendous ride. We've met wonderful other nonprofits, worked with other great people, but most importantly, seeing the same repeat youth come back to different events, saying what we showed them before, they're applying now in their lives.
That's excellent. So now tell me about some of the activities in which people can actually participate in, and what are the young ladies actually doing within the group?
Well, how you can participate is very easy. You just have to contact the Dynamic Divas. We love volunteers to come out, parents and caregivers, to see what we're doing firsthand. Secondly, we like the youth to also give us some advice on some things they want to talk about. We like to leave the floor open to them because there's some discussions that are taboo that we don't talk about at home, but you want to talk about it to someone and get an objective opinion. And I think that's good for the youth because it starts that conversation to continue elsewhere.
Well, I know that my listening audience is the first thing they're thinking about is now, what age group are you talking about these young people starting to have their own conversations?
Well, we start as early as 9 years old. And the reason being, social media is such a forefront in a lot of the households today. So we definitely want to start earlier. We want to also align them with a faith-based type of instruction, as well as realistic goals and opportunities that are available to them now.
So that means you're exposing these young people to other professionals around some of the subject area.
Yes.
So talk about who some of those professionals are that you got.
Well, we have exposed them to, such as myself, I work for a non-traditional industry for a woman. I work for the Maintenance of Way, which is a large transit company that builds large machinery to assist with our transit lines. So they have the opportunity to understand what it's like to go out and work on the rails and be a part of the infrastructure as cities are built around transportation. They've also had the opportunity to talk to different truck drivers to understand what they need for CDL licenses, veterinarians, all types of different environments to get a better understanding of what it is that she's going to need to prosper.
So that means if a young person comes into your group at age 9, how long can they stay?
We don't have an age limit. We like to keep them as long as we can because information is always changing. And we like to always go back and refresh on some of the things we talked about. We have what you call a Spare Change program, which is a 360 evolution workshop series. We start off with self-worth. We want the young ladies to understand the difference between self-worth and self-confidence. And then from there, we also talk about the importance of knowing yourself and being able to have your 15 minutes of fame where you can go ahead and design the plan that works for you. So when you move on in your education and school, you can apply the positive attributes that you learned from the self-worth program. From there, we move into job readiness. You have to be able to brand and market yourself. We use a lot of examples such as the Nike brand or the Fubu brand or those type of brands to show how they went about and marketed themselves so that they can be successful and gain revenue. So we use that same type of marketing strategy when we talk to the young ladies. And then from there, we finish it up with a financial literacy. What we do is we partner with a credit union to be able to show the young ladies the importance of banking. A lot of individuals have said to me, well, I just go to the bank when mom is standing online. But we need them to understand the transactions that are going on, how to handle a household budget, how to save, understand your credit, and be able to have these things when they go into adulthood.
So now if you got a young person at home who's sitting around doing nothing, Dynamic Divas is waiting on them for them to come and be a part of their program. So when do they get started, and how often do you meet?
Well, we have 3 workshops every month, and the workshops depend on the structure of the program to where we are. We're actually closing out our last workshop for the financial literacy, which will be this Saturday, because we're moving into the holiday season where the Dynamic Divas will be out preparing dinners for shelters and things of that nature. But we start again in February. So once all the bills get done and the holidays are passed, we're going to show them again. Let's start with self-worth and understand the importance of knowing thyself.
That's excellent. So now, volunteers. How does volunteers get involved with your organization?
We use volunteers for all our events. They can reach us on our website, or you can email us at dynamicdivava@gmail.com. We love the volunteers to be a part, because eventually we would love for you to transfer over to become one of the members that can sit down and come up with some ideas and plans for us to introduce in the community.
So now we're going to go back a little bit for this conversation, because 4 years ago you had an idea, and that idea was to start something. Why did you start a nonprofit, and how did you get it started?
I started a nonprofit because I too was a victim of domestic violence.
All right.
And during that time, I had no one to start the conversation with. I felt by myself and didn't know the resources that were available to me. As I got older and I had my first child, and I said, well, I need to put something in place so that if she ever experiences this, that she could feel comfortable enough to come to me without going to social media or her friends. So I sat down one day, and I'll never forget, it was January 15th. I was sitting at my desk, and I said, no work today, because I'm going to finish this business plan and get this paperwork started. And it was God all day telling me, get this done. This is your purpose.
I really want you all to listen to that carefully, because God sometimes will do some strange things to us about what it was that we need to do, not only to help our own children, but to help the community. And the nonprofit exchange was put together just for this purpose. So what would you say to somebody who's now in your shoes 4 years ago? How would you encourage them to step up?
First off, I would say don't let fear hold you back. Fear is only a wall that they do not want you to jump over. You must sit down and journal how you want to move forward and put your plan into effect. Surround yourself with other resources. Have conversations with other people that can guide you, because you have to do your research. You have to put your work in to make sure what you're trying to do is not only going to empower yourself, but it's also going to enrich the lives of others. And once you find that, God will put everything else in place for you.
So now we have to talk about that subject. How much money did it cost you to start this organization, and where did you get the continued resources to keep this? Because a lot of people don't want to start a nonprofit because they don't know how they're going to get the money to keep it going.
You're absolutely right about that.
What is that whole process for you, so that somebody can say, well, okay, I remember listening to what you talked about on the radio. What was your process of getting that financial support that you needed to move this organization forward?
I used my savings, because I was definitely dedicated to doing this. I had a conversation with my mom and my aunt, who at that point told me they were also victims of domestic violence, and said because of my passion, they were going to support me. And then from there, my family members came about, my husband came about, and everything just fell into place.
So that means you didn't have any fundraisers?
No, not in the beginning.
All right, so let's go forward then. What was your first fundraiser looking like?
My first fundraiser was actually a t-shirt drive. And the
There you
t-shirt
go.
drive was a gold star on a shirt that says, I am who I am. And I wanted to do something to start conversations, have people ask you, well, what does that shirt mean?
Okay.
And how you answered it is how you felt. And then from there, momentum picked up. And I said, well, now I want to start doing some Diva tea parties during the month of March.
What's a Diva tea party?
Oh, the tea party is phenomenal, let me tell you. We do it in March because we like to celebrate National Women's Month.
All right.
And since that came into legislation back in the years of Ronald Reagan, I said, well, why just have one day? Women are awesome 365 days.
Yes, ma'am.
As the nucleus of the family, we are the wherewithal of what goes on in the family. So let's celebrate them. So I consciously go out and we have a fantastic tea where they can bring their daughters, granddaughters, get dressed up, listen to the word, and just have a really good time connecting with other women.
That is phenomenal. So that means you've got pictures and you've been really doing this one for a while then.
Yes, I do this every year, every March. I try to find a really exquisite location. Last year was at the Founders Inn,
Okay.
and I think it's going to be at the Founders Inn this year. So that's one of my big fundraisers. And then I do my annual event in October, which is coming up.
And what's that event?
This is the Ribbons in the Sky Gala. And when
All
I tell
right.
you, I get butterflies every time I talk about this event. Not because of what it is about, but it's who it represents.
All
it's
right.
about celebrating families and recognizing nonprofits such as myself that are out there every day continuously trying to make a difference. And I have been so honored to work with Nisha Himes from the Grove Foundation. She supported a lot of the Dynamic Divas events. I've supported her events. So to recognize her and all that she does, and then to be honored to have recording artist and actor Bow-Legged Lou from Hope with a Vision organization
All right.
come down and talk about his organization that was started because of his recent diagnosis of eye disease and how he wants to encourage others to talk about maintaining a healthy lifestyle, getting their eyes checked, and really connecting with resources to help one another.
Well, that's awesome. And I mean, people wanted to participate in a lot of these activities. So one more time, give them the address and what a telephone number where they can reach
Okay,
you.
you can reach the Dynamic Divas on our website, which is dynamicdivaofvirginia.com. You can also email us at dynamicdivava@gmail.com. We're also available on Facebook, Dynamic Diva, as well as Twitter, Dynamic Diva VA. You can also call us at 757-621-6498.
Now, we're going to do that one more time, but I got one more segment that I want you to talk about, and that is mental health of women or young girls. Because of the mental health issues that we find that is happening in our community, what is something that you would give advice in terms of these young ladies that you've seen over the last 4 years? And how you think that whole mental health thing is operating? And I know I'm catching you on the spot, but whatever you think you've seen, please share it with us.
Unfortunately, what I've seen is mental health is not a conversation that's talked about at home readily. I think because of the fear of the unknown or feeling that you're inadequate, we do not seek help right away. And young ladies, it tends to hit them a little harder because not only are they dealing with the issues of not feeling adequate as far as how they look or where they're excelling at or their relationships, whether it be personal or professional, those things definitely assist with the mental health issues. I always suggest and always have a counselor at all our events because we want to be able to address anybody who is having something going on at that time due to the subject matter we may be talking to. I would tell anyone, please start a conversation. Start with someone that is willing to understand what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and guide you in the right direction. Let's not go to the instant counselor on Facebook or online to service you. You need to have human contact to get resolution so that you can empower yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard that first from Dynamic Divas, and I really want you to pay attention to that because that's an important subject in our area, and that is to make sure that our young ladies are getting that whole recognition that there is something called mental health, just like there is something called physical health. We need to make sure that that's dealt with. And I really appreciate and applaud you for all the work that you're doing with the Dynamic Divas. Give us two more things and we'll be done with this part of our show today. And that is that you are having an event in October and you are going to have something in March or February of next year. Tell us about those.
So
Do again.
please, I implore you, you do not want to miss out on the Ribbons of the Sky Gala, which is happening Saturday, October 20th at the Founders Inn from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. We're going to have a silent auction, networking, vendors on site, dancing, cocktail reception. We're going to have celebrities in the house as well as have media coverage. You don't want to miss out. Come out and support the nonprofits that are giving themselves unconditionally to all the resources and efforts for the community. And then look for us in March when we host our annual Women's Tea. It's going to be fabulous. Come get pretty and be celebrated and be recognized and be loved on, because at the end of the day, we are all God's children and we need to be celebrated as such.
Well, you've been listening to the Nonprofit Exchange, and our guest today has been the founder and director of the Dynamic Divas, and your name is?
Danielle White.
And Miss White, thank you so much for participating today, and we look forward to you one more time. Tell them what the address is and the telephone number.
The address is dynamicdivaofvirginia.com for our website, and the email is dynamicdivava@gmail.com. We can be reached at 757-621-6498. So let's get out here and do our work and support our communities and our nonprofits.
Well, thank you. Again, you've been listening to the Nonprofit Exchange. I'm your host, C. Richard Gilchrist.